need to choose different topics.
Oh, yeah, I know. We're technically live right now.
But it's not 8 o'clock.
I know. We're just giving them a show.
7.
We're just giving them a show.
We're just giving them what they want. You know that's what the public wants.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just to see us doing our thing.
You know what, man? Listen, here is what...
We have to come up with a name for you.
Who, me?
Yeah. Carlos?
I'm Billy Ray.
Are we doing Billy Ray?
I'm Billy Ray Carlson.
Hi, Billy Ray.
That game last night, let's see, we hit the 80-minute mark.
The first game or the second game?
It's the first game.
First game.
We hit the 80-minute mark. I'm in the field freezing
don't you
my
hate
tits
when
off.
when you're not in control? Like when you're behind the plate, you feel like you could do something about it?
I even warned him. Going into the... Okay, it's the bottom of the second at the 80-minute mark. We're going into the bottom.
The second?
Bottom of the second.
After 80 minutes?
Bottom of the second in the 80-minute mark. Or no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bottom of the second in the 80-minute mark.
2 innings in 80 minutes. Are you kidding me?
I told him, because there's like 12 minutes left.
Everything's a ball.
We better not. No, home team was losing.
Oh.
I said...
We can't start a new one after 5 anyway.
Home team hadn't batted yet. No, we're going to the top half of the third then.
Okay.
Regardless.
Still.
Whatever it was. We couldn't go in another inning. I think home team was... No, home team was up 2. That's what it was. They were batting.
They're still batting.
I told them.
You're like,
we're going to the bottom of the second.
You get them on base somehow while they finish this timeout.
Okay. Let me start back over. All right. Now that I'm not special. We're going in.
You're special.
12 minutes.
Look at you.
The top half of the...
Hey, lift your glasses and give the camera a wink. That's Billy Ray.
Billy Ray.
Ballpark Billy Ray.
Listen here. I'll tell you something. Me and Carl sitting out there at Piggly Wiggly drinking some cold beer. And I shit you not. I heard one of them booms. It's the government, man.
Boom.
All right, so back to the game. Anyway, regardless, they were batting 12 minutes. I was like, we can't have another inning. I don't know if you've noticed this. They've only had 2 innings in 80 minutes.
And you're in charge, pal. Make it happen.
The dude threw like 2 balls.
So he dials in when you're like, come on, dude.
I was like, son of a bitch.
Put it in play, do something.
We didn't start till 8:10.
Right.
But here it is. Don't you love it when the scoreboard guy doesn't set the clock?
Oh, I'm keeping the clock in my pocket.
Oh, yeah. I jumped on it quick.
Did I?
I
canceled out like 5 minutes last night. I ended with 10 minutes to go.
So going to start the second game, not only did I not set it an hour and 45 minutes.
By the way, it's an hour and 30 minutes during the week.
Okay, cool. Well, I set it for an hour and 30 regardless, thinking I was getting to 15 minutes. Right. And I ended it early because I'm a savage.
Savage?
I was just ready to get in gear. I was freezing, dude.
No doubt.
So cold.
I think I made the wrong call last night because I was like, hey, man, I got 2 games. I got to go gearing up Thursday night, tomorrow night. And I was like, why don't you take the game behind the plate because I'm going to be tired. And I got to thinking about it, man, about the 5th pitch of that second game. I was like, man, I wish I'd have geared up. I was freezing to death.
Yeah. That first game when y'all were watching, I was so tight that night.
Open that puppy up.
It was my first game. Man. I started in and worked.
I know you don't want people screaming from word go.
Man, every game, yeah, I do that. But it was more drastic because that was the first game of the year.
Right.
I start tight, and you earn your corners.
Sure you do.
Now, as a pitcher, as an ex-pitcher,
sure,
I am a purist. Not only has it come from the pitcher.
Don't you find that hard though? Okay, and see, Christian's like that too, and so is Kerry. Don't you find it hard to open a zone up so far when you know you expect them to throw strikes? I mean, you were expected to throw them. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Do you find it hard being a pitcher to open that zone up so far? But at the same time, you're going, gosh, if I don't open it up, we're having a walk fest.
Yeah, I honestly don't find that too difficult. Where I become a purist, it's a team between the pitcher and the catcher.
Yeah, if he's framing stuff up, if he's walking in, if you're hitting your spots, I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, regardless if it's a lower ball and the catcher falls forward, I'm not giving it to you.
No, if he spits that sucker,
If it's on a corner and the catcher doesn't catch it, I'm not calling it a strike.
No.
Unless it's wide open in the middle, I'm not calling it a strike.
I've always been a believer of that. If the catcher doesn't catch the ball,
a catcher is equally as important as a pitcher.
Oh my gosh, you're not. And I've always said this: a pitcher's nothing without his catcher. Nothing.
That's why I love having Jake all
and
through my
let's
thing.
be honest. Jake is one of the best catchers out there. Always was.
Well, me and him just had chemistry. And I liked that because
he knew how to make you look good.
Well, that
on the nights, even though you were struggling, he could still make you look
exactly.
good.
But the point I'm trying to make is when I am struggling, he has seen me when I'm not struggling. So he'll call time and be like, "Hey,
man,
you're
you got this, dude.
You're releasing too low," or
right.
"Hey, calm down. You're striding too much." Okay. Because a lot of people can't talk to me when I'm doing stuff because I get frustrated.
Funny, it's weird like that because I'm like that too. Like, I play pickleball, so I have most of the time I don't like people like in my ear when I'm playing. But there's a couple of people that I'm comfortable with that. Where they're like, "Hey, you need to do this. You need to be more aggressive here. You need to do this." And some people they're like, "Hey, do you not like me talking?" I said, "No, keep talking to me. I'm good." By the way, I won silver and the gold medal.
No way.
I did.
What you win it in?
Mixed doubles. I won a silver medal with my partner, and then
I was at one of them swinger parties, and I got the same award
with mixed doubles.
Mixed doubles,
right?
It was a good night.
And then, of course, for you people who are identifying how you want to in men's doubles, we won a gold. So I was freaking stoked.
Speaking of identifying as
36.
What you want. Well, yes, I do identify as a 36-year-old.
I think we're both.
Let's get into the fairness of transitioning females or males competing in sports. Because no matter which way you go, females are getting screwed. What?
You want to welcome us?
Oh, yeah. And we're live again. This is Billy Ray.
Welcome.
I forgot my last name already. Welcome to the Almost Legal Podcast. We're just sitting here talking, and I didn't even realize I'm here again. Me and Chris gonna be talking about some stuff.
Welcome to the show.
We're chilling, man. This is our lazy show because apparently I can't handle anything fancy smancy
it's because of the lip curl you got going.
Dude, this shit's all in my nose. It's really.
Could you imagine having a stash like that for real?
I don't think I'm cool enough, man.
I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. You need a Harley though.
That is true.
Just for one.
You know what? I can't afford that.
Time.
I'm just gonna get a helmet, like Dan Cook.
Right, and just
walk
keep
in.
it beside you all the time.
Park my hog outside.
Hey, do me a favor while you sit there. Just say it for me. Say America.
America. Hey, MAGA, baby. Hey, save the nation, baby.
Save it all. Save it all.
Listen here. Let me tell you something. I'm going to learn you right now. The government's out to get you. All right? I got fired the other day from a job. Got laid off. Because I'm better than my boss.
That's why. Aren't we all?
It's not my fault Jacob lost his arm. They just don't know.
They weren't following. I love those signs that say how many days since we've had a contact. What does it say? 0 days.
Oh, since accident.
Since we've had an accident or like a limb lost or something like that.
I love those.
My favorite time is when you go into that place and it says 1 day.
1 day.
Yesterday something went wrong.
No, well, they don't even have days. They have hours.
Like hours. 6 hours since Bobby lost his arm.
Oh, Bobby. Bobby's an asshole. He'll get you in trouble. He's just trying to get that workers' comp. You know what I'm saying? All I can say is, America. Coming out here. America.
So, back to what we were talking about. That's called a repeat.
Oh, repeat.
That's called a repeat.
All right, now we're gonna get into the pickle and dickles of stuff. I don't even know what we're talking about. Oh, we're getting into
baseball.
We're talking about whatever you identify in men's double deuces or whatever.
Right.
And I was going into what do you think about the fairness of either a man transitioning into
wasn't there something recently where somebody Was it wrestling?
The high school wrestler.
Maybe
Because
that's what it
regardless, if you're
How is that fair?
well, if it's a girl transitioning into a male, they're taking artificial testosterone,
Okay.
which is still higher than the average
Sure.
male. And then the other one's obvious. If it's a
How
male
is
going
that
into
fair?
a woman, right? It's not. That's why they're
You know
starting
what
to
I would-
dominate.
Like it's like it'd be like you deciding today you want to go. You're going to identify in transgender, and you're going to go play softball instead of baseball.
It'd be difficult at first, but
How?
just if you tried to hit.
Learn to hit their pitches.
I remember Tori Hollis.
It's funny. We had a girl, Casey. It's a local girl that I actually used to bring out there on occasions. And my guys who were 14, 15 years old, when she was like 12 years old, she was a stroking pitcher.
It's just so much different.
And
You remember
they
Tori
couldn't-
Hollis, right?
Yeah, they couldn't touch her.
She has a batting cage at her house, and I tried. Man,
You just can't do it.
it's just so much
And the
different.
movement is crazy, is
You
it
can't
not?
read it out of
Coming
the-
from down
Well,
here.
yeah. You're so used to seeing up here, and all of a sudden it's just
And and the distance is like 38, 40 feet.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're stroking in there at 60 miles. It's the equivalent of like 105 mile an hour.
I think it's impressive as hell.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they can do it opposite-handed.
Yes.
Every one of them bats lifted.
Yes.
That little slap shit.
Yes.
Punching Judy.
Do you watch Alabama and Auburn softball ever?
No.
Let me tell you
Is
something.
Dave still the voice of?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Dave, our big boss, is the voice of Alabama softball.
You know he's doing all that to eventually become that football dude.
Would that not be the coolest thing?
That's how he got A-Day.
I
He did
know.
the A-Day game.
I mean, would that not be the coolest thing to turn on the freaking TV and it's Big Dave?
Well, you couldn't hear it, but...
I'll hear it. Because when he gets it, I'll be there.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'll be there for sure.
Heck yeah. Even, I might have to be like, Middle Tennessee State or something. But
Either way, no, I figure we know him, we get a free pass,
we
right?
better.
Like, we need to be in the press box with him. Do you remember? It was really cool because when we were at Chelsea, okay, I used to love sitting
Put 6
there.
on the board.
Put 6 on the board for the Hornets, okay? But it was really cool, though, because sitting up there listening to him, he's just got the ultimate voice for it, okay? And he really knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah. He's a good dude.
Absolutely.
Good dude.
So, let's talk about the fairness of the transgender thing. And again, we were talking about the fact that there was something, I think it was it wrestling? There was a recent report where the girl...
Biological girl just beating the hell out of other girls. But she was
Right.
But she was transgender.
I guess to me that probably is better. Depending on what bathroom you're using, is I think what you have to register.
Well, they can use whatever bathroom they want.
Can they?
Yeah, I think it's like a school thing. Like they had to do it.
Could you imagine that when you were in school?
So I don't really care. I didn't go. I went to the football locker room.
To school?
Yeah. I meant to the bathroom.
Oh, to the bathroom. I thought you meant to school, period.
I'd pee in there every once in a while.
Speaking of not going to school, let's talk about something that's a huge topic for the day. There was supposedly this walkout today about gun violence, and these kids were all going to walk out of school.
So dumb.
How is that? Don't misunderstand, but and it was funny because I had a friend of mine that posted something on social media that said the fact that how are we going to listen to people when they say they want to walk out of school to try to change some kind of national policy on whether it be gun violence or gun laws and all that. These are the same kids that are burning their arms on burners and eating Tide Pods.
Well, to be a devil's advocate, they could have just used it as an excuse not to go to school.
Well, see, that's what I feel like it would more probably. And it's funny. I think if you would actually, if they would be honest about it and you polled them all, I think that's probably what they would actually. You would find is the percentage of kids that if they were just flat out honest and said, "Hey, I just skipped today because I wanted to skip."
Yeah, I don't
it's
give a
like
shit.
senior skip day.
That's why they'll go to exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Something happened in my high school, something along those lines, and none of us went.
Right.
It wasn't that
It was just another reason to not go to school.
Like, all right, let's just go hang out.
I think it'd be interesting. How would they react to it all if you charged them all with truancy?
I don't know what that means, but
That means that if you skip school, the parents are responsible for it. You can actually go to court over that.
Oh, I see.
Interesting thing when my kids are in school, same as you. Okay, if you missed and I don't remember I think you were allowed 14 days total to be absent for the year, and if you reached in that 7 to 8 range, we got a letter one time from the Shelby County courts talking about the fact that your kids miss X number of days of school. If he misses so many more, we'll have to go to truancy court. And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? It looks great, man.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
No, really, it does. It looks fantastic. Okay?
Thanks, man.
You look almost as cool as I do.
Yeah, I know.
I just don't have the stash to go.
I'm killing it, dude.
If I'd have known you were going to go full on, I'd have worn my hair down.
Well, yeah, I was gonna get a beard, but this is all I could grow in a 10-hour span. You know,
it is what it is. Hey, testosterone's working for somebody,
right? That's crazy to give that to you for identifying as a 36-year-old.
I think what's interesting is when you're talking about the transgender thing in sports, you know, it's been through the years. You know, every once in a while you'll see that report of that girl that's playing football, whether she's a linebacker or whatever, or a kicker. Either way, even as a kicker, okay, you know, none of those girls are trying to transgender.
No, it's a female playing a game.
Just playing the game. So, and there was a recent movie, and I'm trying to remember what it was called. I can't remember. And it's about a girl who played Major League Baseball. So, do you think that's coming?
No.
I mean, without trying to sound...
They strategically pick their arguments, and they're like talking about how there's no difference between men and female, and then they'll point their outliers, because biologically, a man is bigger than a female. Like, there's no arguing about it. They'll argue.
And then there's me.
They'll argue when it comes to the myth of the gender pay gap, which is not... I think they say, every dollar a man makes, they get 70-something cents, but that's not true. They did, how they figured that out? They got all the men's median income and all the females' median income, and then boom.
But, right, but
they didn't do hours worked.
Well, that's what and look at the actual physical, the job descriptions themselves.
Exactly.
Okay,
it actually comes to 94 cents for every guy's dollar.
So it's really not that far off. Okay, and don't get me wrong. You know, this is one of the things that I've always had a thing. You know, we were talking about earlier about perception versus reality, and this is one of those perception things to me that, you know, regardless whether it's male versus female, okay, black versus white, you know, if you, and I understand the argument that's out there. Okay, I get the argument that says that, you know, certain races aren't treated equally, certain genders aren't treated equally, but then you have to sit back for just a second and look at and say, okay, what about somebody like Oprah who's making just boodle-koodles of money, okay? You know, and all of these Hollywood actors that are making boo-koodles of money, okay, regardless of race or gender, you know, and you have to ask yourself, you know, let's take female versus male surgery. You see all the shows on TV now about medical stuff and all that. You know, are the females making as much as the men?
And what?
And like surgical stuff and cardiologists and brain surgeons and that kind of thing.
Maybe.
You know,
not sure.
Recently, I saw something that was really cool. It kind of touches base on both of them. And don't get me wrong, it's one of the absolute best movies I've ever seen. It was Hidden Figures. Have you seen it?
Is that the NASA girls?
Yes, the black girls from NASA, math geniuses, okay? And what they went through, and don't get me wrong, it's a really moving movie, okay? But you also have to look at it and go, gosh, you know, we say how bad it was and all this, but, you know, our country relied on those people.
Oh, heck yeah, they did.
And you
put us on the moon, man.
You've got
by
to
God.
know, you got to know that, you know, to me, in my mind, I personally believe we've got to separate everything from this crazy split up world we're living in today. And it doesn't matter whether it's race, religion, gender, the whole 9 yards. We've got to start looking at ourselves as human beings.
I agree, man.
You know, it's all fake news.
I agree.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Thanks, Trump.
Thank you, sir, for that. But I truly believe hopefully the day is going to come, okay? And this is something you and I have talked about a lot about Elon Musk. You know, I don't think he has any intention of, you know, nothing he does is race-based or gender-based or anything like that. He's trying to, one thing we've talked about is he's trying to better humanity.
Right? It blows my mind. I'm going to be so pissed, like I said. I'm trying to take a step back because there's no way.
But is there somebody
to explain what we're talking about? I effing love Elon Musk.
How can you not?
He's the real life Tony Stark. But I'm going to be heartbroken if he comes out and he's like
Anybody
some
who will
douchebag.
manufacture a flamethrower and sell it online.
You know they did that just to get because they're bored.
I'm on board with that guy though. You know, anybody who wants to launch a Tesla into space, I'm on board with that guy. What do you know that he's actually had his hands on? It wasn't just ultra cool.
What do you mean?
Everything's been ultra cool. Everything he's designed, everything he's
Solar
working
City?
for, right?
Because we were mentioning his start. He started a company with his brother, sold it for good money, invested almost 100% of it, and they started a little thing you might have heard of it called PayPal.
Right.
Then he sold that for I think $72 million.
Ridiculous dollars.
And I saw a quote. He invested X amount into Solar City, X amount into SpaceX, X amount into Tesla. He said I had to ask for money for rent.
I mean, think about that. Okay, but at the same time, everybody goes, "Well, that's just not true." No, I believe it.
I do too.
I believe it wholeheartedly. Okay?
He had to come out of pocket $100 million to keep SpaceX afloat.
Okay, and now, and you've seen the videos recently about the SpaceX deal. Okay, it's not just so much about the launch and what he's put into space. The technology and you've seen the videos.
Oh, it's incredible.
The boosters coming back down and landing.
It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to me, the idea that I was looking into where he started and what his vision is, and the vision of pretty much by the year, I think it's like 2020, he wants to send some supplies to Mars, and then like
when SpaceX times that's
right.
Probably add another 4 years.
Okay, either way.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
And then ultimately he wants to colonize Mars. And of course, the scary part about that is something I was reading is the fact that part of the reason he's doing this is he full on believes that we're fixing to have World War III, and he wants to be able to basically allow humanity to continue on.
Speaking of World War III, did you see Trump starting a new fleet, a new branch of space warriors or some shit?
But this is not something ultimately that's new. Okay, this just goes back to the
You know where it came
80s.
from, though. Did you see that video? That video Russia put out about their new nuke.
Oh,
where they could have done any blank piece of land, but they strategically put it, and you can see clear as day it's Florida.
Right. Of
nukes, because they launch it in space, and then they have multiple nuclear warheads that branch out and fall from space.
Do you remember the movie War Games?
What's it about?
It was basically a game it was kind of like playing an online game where your goal was to basically start a nuclear war, and it was to see who had won. But the whole thing was, the end of the movie was, if you play the game, you're a loser. Okay, and that kind of brings back to Cold War kind of mentality, where when it comes to nuclear arms, and this is another thing, with true what we call Star Wars, okay, not like the movie, okay, but real Star Wars. Don't you feel like that some of these launches have something to do with that?
With what?
With SpaceX launches and all these satellites are put up. With true Star Wars, where the technology, hopefully, we're trying to design a technology that will allow us to take those arms out of the sky mid-range before they reach us.
I think we already have that technology.
You think it's already there?
Oh, have you seen the rail gun, the laser gun?
Is that not incredible?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They can shoot a laser and hit a ship's. I think the Navy has it. You can shoot out another ship's engine in like a second.
I mean, that's incredible.
To pinpoint accuracy.
Think about it. The crazy thing is, like you were talking about with Elon and people like Tony Stark and stuff like that. Doesn't it? It's almost now, if you can think it, we can do it.
Well, we have technology.
That's what I'm saying. Way back, and I say way back for guys your age, okay, there was a movie, it was called Blue Thunder. You ever see that?
What's that about?
It was about a police force that had this helicopter that had all this ridiculous technology where it could hover silently, it could listen through walls, it was a helicopter that could actually do an inverted loop, okay? the crazy part is nowadays, all that's real.
Right, and it blows my mind.
All of it's real. And then I've always found it kind of interesting that, like, every time you see a movie that seems something that's futuristic or something that's going to happen, you know, it's almost like they're just trying to prepare the American public.
Oh, I know. And the one thing that's holding everyone back, going back to Elon Musk, is with his, like, fully autonomous cars, the only thing really holding them up is government regulation.
Right.
Not ready to, like, let them go.
Right.
Because have you seen the videos of it? If you search YouTube, you can see this of the cameras picking up accidents before they even happen.
Oh no! Like based on lane changes,
Well,
and
not even with your car, but in front of you.
right.
Like
Based on what's actually
it
happening.
starts slowing down, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, smash.
Right. You know, it's kind of funny too, is, and I don't know if you realize, but like if you watch those videos about accidents and stuff like that, 90% of what you watch on the internet is out of Russia.
Yeah, because by law they have to have
a dash cam.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think
my favorite ones where it's car parked in the alley, all of a sudden you see a car coming,
right,
and on the windshield kicking it in's a dude. I'm like, right. Only in Russia.
Only in Russia. Only in Russia.
I saw another video. Speaking of advanced cars, there's this car, which is like, I want to say it's either in Sweden or Germany, where he wanted to make a car of the future on what to look forward to, but he wanted to make it now. This thing is so advanced and so expensive. It's got so many cameras. It has a big old TV back in the back. It even has a setting to where if you're driving, it's so fully autonomous that it has a setting where it has VR glasses.
Really?
While you're driving, and it creates a different
whole world,
a whole another world while you drive.
See, and that's another really cool thing that I think Elon's working on. Is the fact that he's talking, you know, and my wife and I were reading this thing about, you know, where he came from and what his ideas are for the next 10 to 12 years. It's stunning. You know, he wants to actually, you know, we know what virtual reality is with those kind of, like the PlayStation full-on mask and everything. And have you ever played one of those?
What?
Like,
no, I want to get it.
Man, let me tell you something, okay? The first time I played, I was down with my son in Miami, and his roommate had one. And I'm going to tell you something. We were playing a game. It was a Batman game. You're standing on the top of a skyscraper, okay? And the feeling that you get is absolutely dumbfounding. Like you can fall off that sucker.
It just, I get anxious.
Yeah, I mean,
this videos of douchebags holding on with one arm.
Right. Okay, but you can do that with these VR helmets that you can put on. I thought it was really cool. One thing we did a search on, and it's amazing how much YouTube stuff is out there for not just the games that you can buy for these VR helmets, but you could go onto YouTube. Like we did skydiving.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They actually do that. Like I said, I don't remember what episode. You know where you get in the fan and you feel like you're doing it?
Oh, the iFly thing.
Yeah, they implemented the VR. So you
could do that even now, right?
You legitimately feel like you're...
I understand there's VR porn.
I could be completely making... Yeah.
That's weird, though.
Have you seen... I don't know where... I think I saw it on Facebook. It's this kid. It looked like it was a science project. He might have been 14. And you see this thing, and it's like a circular thing, and it's a robot going up and down. And you see he's wearing VR glasses, but he's not under it.
Wait a minute, what's happening here?
Well, no, then I started piecing shit together because he had a, what's it called? Your blood pressure thing, the sleeve,
right?
In the little circle thing, and I'm like, oh shit. And then it showed what he was watching. It was a girl, like an anime girl, like giving him head.
What do they call that? Is it hentai, something like that? These freaky people are into like cartoon sex and stuff.
It happens.
It's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when there's so much real stuff available.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a real vagina you can find just as easy. Actually, probably easier.
Nowadays it is.
But porn's a huge market, dude.
But what I thought was really cool is the fact that, you know, you take that VR kind of idea, and I was absolutely stunned at how real it actually is when you're playing it. Like when you're standing there and you've got it on and you're involved in one of these games or skydiving or something.
Which console is this? Or what?
I think it's available on both of them now, but it was on PlayStation.
Okay. See, that's a PlayStation one. That's $299. Once you get
it's dropped because it was $400.
Right. Well, once you get up to like Oculus, which is $8.99. That has
Can you imagine? I mean, even what I was watching
4K.
was that stunning, right? Okay, can you imagine what that? Like you're standing there, and what amazes me is that you start to get that. You know, your body's moving back and forth. You're wobbling. You're going, oh, you know, and you get so into it that you literally feel like you're a part of what you're seeing. Okay. And what's amazing to me is what Elon's trying to do within the next 4 to 5 years is actually link everything, okay? And we're going to go from virtual reality. I know you don't like the idea, okay, but in a way it would be really cool, okay?
I think
we're talking about augmented reality.
Are you talking about? Because they already can almost.
What was the movie? Arnold Schwarzenegger was in one of them.
Total Recall.
Oh, Total Recall. Yeah.
Well, that would be cool, but
that's the kind of thing he's talking about doing.
Well, once they talk about getting chips and shit in us,
right?
I'm not.
And,
I think that's.
And your brain goes directly to a computer hard drive.
I think that, honestly,
You think it's like Big Brother's watching you kind of thing?
Maybe yes, but I don't know if you're religious or whatnot. But I think that actually will be the mark of the beast.
Well, that's what they say.
When they get, and that's your only way to pay for shit is through this chip they put in your hand or something.
You know, there's some place, and I don't know where. You know, now we have the obviously, like your phone has your thumbprint on it. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that has like the ocular recognition.
Well, new iPhones, that's how you unlock your phone. You just look at it. You have to look at it though. It's not just your face.
I know, but that's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
I mean, think about it. Okay, and you see it in the
even
movies,
with sunglasses, it works.
right? You see it in the movies where it'll read your retinal scan. Is basically what it is. Okay, but to me, what's amazing with that technology is can we get to that point where and it's my understanding somewhere they're doing it now, and I don't know if it's whether the people are chipped or your card is chipped or whatever. There's grocery stores where you can go in, you put all your merchandise in a cart, and you literally just roll out.
Well, that's the Amazon store.
That's insane.
Yeah,
it tallies everything up and it bills you.
You don't have to do that.
You literally just put it in your cart and leave.
No, yeah, it knows it
based on where you were.
Yeah, it reads what you pick up. You scan like who you are, and then it tracks you and what you pick up.
That's scary. Which means if they can track you in that store, they can track you anywhere.
But it's pointless.
Why?
Because no matter how fast that is, rather than checking out the line, did you see the line given out of that place?
Right. It's like Walmart where you got 47 aisles or 600 people in line and 3 aisles are open.
I saw this meme. It showed this like new hybrid concept Walmart truck, and it said Walmart can afford Optimus Prime, but can only manage to keep
3 aisles at a time. Crap. It's crazy about like that though. But yeah, I you know, in a weird way, I feel like sometimes in the future, you know, you gotta if you're tech, I say savvy, but if you're like we are, okay, we love technology, you know, and I've always believed that technology is the one thing that can really advance us, but also technology can be one of the scariest things out there.
Oh yeah, because I know how corrupt the government is, or whoever.
You know, it's like we've had for years and years and years. The technology is like, you know, what blood. And you and I talked about it a while back about the fact that Eric Rudolph. Okay.
Do I know him?
Yeah, he's a mass murderer. Okay, he managed to elude the government and hide in the North Carolina mountains for a ridiculous amount of time.
Like the Barefoot Bandit?
Right, okay. But yet, we also have the technology that from satellite, okay, we can zoom in and see where a tank crossed 6 months ago based on the heat signature that the tracks and the weight of it all leaves behind.
You know what scares me?
What scares you? Other than shaving that mustache.
This new technology. It got bought up. The patent got bought up by guess who?
The car manufacturers.
The government.
Oh, the government.
Well, yeah, I'm not getting there. It's this new algorithm software. Don't speak that fancy language. They need 60 seconds of you talking. Preferably 3 to 5 minutes.
And
but
what can they
60
tell
seconds. They can completely recreate you speaking, and you're not even there.
See, that's a crazy thing too, because you know a lot of stuff what we do.
I saw an
based
example.
on voice recognition.
I saw a freaking example, bro. They created this person talking, and then to compound on that, another thing is There's this new.
Do you remember? And I'm not sure you're old enough to remember. What was it? What was his name? Something Max. Max Headroom.
Why does that sound familiar?
He was the first virtual reality guy that was in existence. Okay, it was just a big head. Okay, but he'd have full on conversations with people. It was a huge thing. Max Headroom was what it was called, I believe. And for its day, that technology was absolutely astounding. Okay, but that's the kind of thing, basically, like you're talking about. It's this close to cloning you.
They can already do it, dude.
I mean,
did you hear about those monkeys?
Well, you know, it's crazy. I don't know if people realize it or not, but you know, as far as gene cloning and stuff like that, you realize right here in Birmingham, Alabama, we have one of the largest research facilities right there at UAB.
Did I send this to you to possibly talk about today, the CRISPR? Or did I not send that?
I don't think you sent it, but tell me a little bit about the CRISPR.
You know what that is?
To me, it's the bottom drawer in your refrigerator that nobody knows what the hell it's for.
CRISPR is...
Am I right, though?
Yeah. No, I didn't know that.
What do you put
is
in
that
that
what that's
drawer?
for?
That's what it's called, is a CRISPR.
I don't know. I just throw shit in there.
What the hell do you put in there? I put beer and water in.
I put cheese and whatever.
Okay.
Whatever it doesn't fit anywhere else.
Right.
I didn't know it had a purpose.
It's called the CRISPR drawer.
A CRISPR, once again, you know how my mind works. It's scary. Basically, you'll be able to create your child however you want. They can literally manufacture, take out genes, DNA. They can create and patch it. That's some crazy shit, dude.
You know, and it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because I actually tried to encourage my kids to read a book for a long time. Okay,
you pick your kid's eye color.
Okay, there's a book called Next, and it actually is, and I'm going to verify this before I tell you exactly who it's by. And you and I may have touched base on this. And it was about the whole idea of the book is it's based on gene technology. In other words, one of the premise of the book is they create this thing called a man key. It's part man, part monkey. And the idea is that they create it through gene splicing, where they inject a particular gene into your spinal column. And what's wild about it is that it's kind of that idea that, you know, is there a moral dilemma by doing something like that? Like, example, you know, the man key idea, part man, part monkey. In the book, they basically create these beings to become more or less an army, like the Clone Wars of Star Wars kind of thing. But one of the interesting things about it is, you know, that gene splicing or that gene injection kind of technology, what if we could do that, okay, and the technology's there, and do away with some of these diseases that we face today? Like, I don't know, autism, you know, something like that. You know, the idea that they say that the technology is actually there, okay, but the reason they don't want to, it's like big pharma.
What about them sinking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to basically make it to where all the marijuana,
right?
Because they're talking about the opioid epidemic, which is created by our own government. Anyway, we'll get it. And basically, like I always say, when everyone, you know, rewind the clock back 8-10 years, when they're like, dude, legalize marijuana, do. And I'm like, dude, it's never gonna happen. They can't regulate it.
And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about it. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for it.
What?
Legalizing it.
Right.
Okay. And look, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Okay. You know, how many people do you know have died and had car accidents smoking?
I'm sure it's out there, but it's not
sure
the cause.
It's not the cause, okay? But how many people do you know that have died and had car accidents drinking alcohol?
A lot more.
Which is legal.
I think we all know. Okay. I think you couldn't walk up to somebody and them not know.
Okay. It's an obvious thing. You know, and I think the thing is that technology is advancing to a point now medically that we're realizing that legalizing marijuana can solve a lot of health issues.
Well, yeah.
Even some of the smaller ones, like anxiety.
Its cousin hemp is like a godsend.
Okay.
With CBD oil.
The problem there is, and I think this is the problem. It's kind of like when Prohibition happened back in the 20s. Okay. The government said, okay, we're going to illegalize drinking and nobody's going to be able to drink. Okay. Guess what? They realized that wasn't a possibility because Billy Bob.
Hell yeah.
Billy Bob.
That's how NASCAR started, baby.
Absolutely.
America.
Okay. In the hills of North Carolina, every Billy Bob out there had a still. Okay. I think that's the problem with this too. Is that
you know who's a bootlegger?
Who's a bootlegger?
JFK's daddy.
JFK's daddy.
He was. That's how he had ties to the mafia. Go ahead.
But I think the problem is the fact that it's so easy to grow.
They can't regulate it.
It's 100% about the almighty dollar and regulation.
Well, it's funny you said the prohibition, though, because that alone wasn't the reason why they did it.
Right.
The reason they did it is because they had ethyl alcohol. I said that
ethyl alcohol.
Ethyl alcohol, which ran cars.
Right.
They had an engine.
Right.
Ford actually manufactured his engine to run on either or. Guess who didn't like that? Rockefeller.
Okay.
So they had the. You know what they did when the prohibition? Well, they had the alcohol cars. They had them add oil to it.
Right. It's
Why?
like mix.
So they couldn't drink it. No, because you need me no matter what.
Right. I'd actually heard that too at one point where they actually had an additive to it so that the people couldn't actually just drink it.
And then you get to marijuana. Marijuana is illegal because hemp, which you go back to the founding of this country, hemp was the number 3 import.
It was made for
in
so
the
much
country.
more. The Navy utilizes to make these huge ropes and stuff.
Well, Hearst, who had the most, he had like a kind of an Apple format where they're in-house. Every piece of the thing comes from them, all the products and everything. He owned lumber mills, the
right.
paper manufacturer, and a paper. Well, he was getting threats from, not threats, but he was feeling a threat from hemp. So he demonized it, comparing it to the Mexican cousin cannabis, that's what we know of marijuana, and then started a smear campaign by saying, and I quote, the CIA got on board by saying marijuana makes white women get drunk, mess up and have sex with black men. Came from the CIA's mouth.
See,
and we're still on that prehistoric thing. And they treat it. You know what I don't understand? I heard Joe Rogan talking about this. If you hear, say you have young kids, okay? You're hanging out and you light up a joint. That's it's frowned upon. But if you have a glass of wine, it's okay.
Right.
Well,
it's actually
what's
encouraged.
the difference? Right? See what I'm
it's
saying?
Encouraged.
But it's just a social construct of like how to think about marijuana.
I mean, it's so readily available now. We can actually go to Walmart and buy wine in a box.
Yeah, crappy box wine.
Okay.
See what I'm saying, though?
And again, being an old school guy, and again, I think that, there obviously needs to be age restrictions on a lot of things, just like we do. We have an age restriction to drive, we have an age restriction to drink, the whole 9 yards. I think that's all part of it. But at the same time, I think we're missing out on. We're missing out on what the benefits are and how much stuff it could change. And again, I point back to Big Pharma. Okay, if there's something natural out there that can, I say cure may not be the right answer. Okay, but alleviate, whether it be pain or whatever that is, I feel like if the bottom line is if they can't make money on it, they're going to try to they're going to quell it.
Yeah, that was the key. Jake, honestly, before they even legalized it, Jake had the brilliant idea of because not only are they just, if they don't get kickback not being able to regulate it, law enforcement profits largely from arresting people for marijuana possession. Then they go through
Sure, it's about money.
They slap you on the wrist, you get on probation, you pay way too much for that, and then you're back out, no harm, no foul. Okay, Jake had an idea back in the day. This is like, maybe almost 10 years ago we were talking about this. He said $100 marijuana license.
That's actually,
2 year, 1 year.
That's actually kind of smart.
You can still arrest them if they don't have the license.
That's kind of smart if you think about it. That's a way to.
How many people in America would buy a marijuana license
every year?
But just, yeah, do it annually.
So they would get their money one way or another.
Think about how many people would buy
Golly.
it. I don't smoke weed, but I'd buy one
funny.
just in case I have it with me or
funny,
someone
though,
that with me has
somebody
it.
young like that could come up with an idea like that. How come somebody, a local guy we know comes up with a brilliant idea like that, yet the government can't think of something like that?
Because they don't want to think about it. We've already went over this.
Okay, there was a movie that came out way back. It's called Reefer Madness. I don't know if you've ever watched it or ever seen it, but it was an old school thing, and the idea was it was fully put out there to demonize the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Show people smoking and jumping out of windows to their death and this and that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm 52 years old, and I've seen a lot of people out there smoking. I've never seen anybody jump to their death.
Yeah.
Or even think about it.
Yeah. I'm couch logged. Like, I've done it before, and I'm useless. I don't see how people do it every day.
I'm too
Drives
old
me
to
crazy.
do it. I'm too old.
It is what it is. It makes you sleepy. You want to know? You hear when you're obviously you're raised in a different time, but all through I hear all these negative things and what they say about weed because of studies they've done.
Sure.
Oh, it kills brain cells. It does this. You know why? Have you looked into those actual testings on where they got that data from?
And what's the purpose of it?
But no, when they tested marijuana and where they get the claim of, oh, it kills brain cells. You know why they say it kills brain cells? Because they tested on monkeys. You know what they did? They put them in a space helmet, and they pumped 8 blunts worth of smoke in there. He didn't have oxygen. How the hell? Of course it's going to kill brain cells. 8 blunts worth of smoke?
See, I related to this. Do you remember and you may not be old enough, but there was a craze that went around talking about red food coloring, okay? And for a period of time, do you know they actually took the red dye out of like there were no red M&Ms? Okay? And to me, it's funny. It's that same mentality where with red food coloring, if you feed a rat, okay, 8 times his weight in red food coloring every day, odds are he's gonna die from it.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's that same principle, and I guess the thing is, and I think that's part of this politically correct world, the politically incorrect world that we live in today. Let's go out there and let's do something that's going to help the general public. Whatever it is, let's put all our mess aside and say, hey, it's not about money necessarily. Let's have that mentality like Elon has, and let's say, let's go help humankind. Don't you believe in that, really?
Well, yeah, I do, but I don't trust the government, man.
So somehow, and
I'm becoming more and more of a freaking loon. If I had the money, I'd probably have a doomsday bunker with some
or live on an island somewhere by yourself.
I wish I'd be there.
Wouldn't that be I would do it if I thought I could sustain myself.
If I could get
the pressure of everyday life,
150 people, and we just go start our own country somewhere.
Wouldn't you do it?
Hell yeah!
Do you ever see the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, I don't like men.
Well, I mean,
what you asked, man?
I said, do you like men?
Oh, no, man.
No men.
No men.
But the whole idea is they were on this beach or this deserted island, basically, and the idea was that they went out there and they started basically their own civilization. They built their own laws, their own rules. I would live like that in a heartbeat. If I could live in a tropical paradise with a group of people I actually liked and got along with, wouldn't you do it?
Shoot, yeah. They have a place like that. A lawless city. I forgot what it's called. Somewhere.
A lawless city? Now, that's kind of scary, though.
Well, no, it's just a bunch of hippies out in the desert.
Well, then we fit right in. Or at least I would. Well, no, you would today.
Yeah. Oh, today?
Today?
Oh, Billy
Ray would fit
Hell,
right
man,
in.
I go there every summer. That's my summer get out. I got me a nice trailer up under. Shit, man.
And a motorcycle.
No, I don't got a motorcycle. I gave that to Cletus.
Cletus got it.
Yeah.
I hear you.
No, I looked into, we're going to talk about this on a later episode because me and Becca were talking about it. The Clinton crime family and the Bush crime family. And a lot of people don't know about Bush.
Interesting that it's on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The two the most scary, corrupt people ever. And like Becca said, because honestly...
I'm one of the most scary, corrupt people.
All right.
I could be.
Well, I was playing a video. I didn't say, hey, look at this. I just saw it. It was George Bush prior to a live press conference. And he was just sitting there, and like people were like pampering him and stuff, and like I was just like kind of watching. And I've watched a bunch of videos and stuff, and Becca was like, I liked him. And I was like, I did too at the time. And then the more I found out about his family, the more sketched out him, you know.
You know, I think it's anybody that's above what, like, the echelon that us normal folk live in.
Yeah, but Clinton, that's like a crime family. Bush, that's some like crazy, every conspiracy theory you can think of, they're probably like, we're talking...
Have a piece of.
Secret societies,
right?
With the skull and bones. We're talking that...
But don't you think in a way that it takes some kind of intelligence to be a part of something like that?
Well, he went to Yale.
I mean,
I was like, you think it's a coincidence that
no.
His dad, George W. Bush's dad, said in order to have a new world order, you would need a Pearl Harbor type event, and all of a sudden 9/11
happens, right?
And she's like, yeah, but he was he was such a successful past. Like, no, he was just fortunate.
But was he a visionary, or was this, you know, you can look at both sides of that coin. Was it something that was calculated? Was it a visionary kind of thing? He said, hey, look, we're in a situation in the world today where something like this is bound to happen, then all of a sudden it happens.
No, they needed war, man.
But
look, I'm not.
But did that really create the war?
Yes. Yes. It's the sole reason.
I guess it's a retaliation.
Do you think it's a coincidence that we're still there? We're in No. You think it's a coincidence we went to Iraq and then Afghanistan?
Yeah.
And you think it's a coincidence that we're in Afghanistan and not Iraq? You think there's any other reason other than maybe it's the largest lithium output and the most important one, the largest opium output in the world in our control?
Well, again, you and I had the conversation about Made in America. The movie and what all transpired during all that.
That's in the movie. And that movie I was talking about, the new Brad Pitt movie.
Right. But I mean, you look at all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of crazy that what if they again if they put their minds to it, they can accomplish it.
Well, George W. Bush's dad, his grandfather, Prescott Bush. You know about him?
See, and that's the weird thing. Not a lot of people know anything about him.
He was. Guess what? He was a sole backer of Hitler.
Isn't that crazy?
I want to do an episode on that, on how many people, Americans, corporations, and people directly profited from the Hitler regime and that war. They were using shit made by American companies to kill Americans.
But don't you know it's kind of funny, though, in a weird way? And I mean, you can say what you want about Hitler and this and that, and obviously we know what he did wrong. Don't misunderstand that at all. But, and it's like some people actually talk about Charles Manson in the same way. There's people out there that will have that mentality that say, well, if Hitler ran for president, I'd have voted for him. If Charles Manson ran for president, I'd have voted for him. Regardless of what they actually did, these cats were smart.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm gonna send you where I'm getting this info from, and it ended.
It's not The Onion.
It ended with talking about the iconic shot of the rail lines going in Auschwitz.
Right.
He's like, "Would you've looked at this? Because there's actually been suits on the government for this,
financing it,
for what I'm about to say." But yes, basically, in ballpark. Would that be as iconic and bone-chilling knowing that rail line was American made?
Right. I mean, it's crazy if you think about how much was American made.
And guess what?
Out there.
The Jews in the concentration camp. You know who was directly profiting from that, from free slave labor? American corporations.
Right. It still happens today.
IBM supplied all the phone. AT&T ran Hitler the most advanced telecommunications on the planet at that time.
Right.
For free.
And you got to also realize that it's still happening today. I mean,
the Bank of London.
What we have our money in to benefit us, okay, without, it's like the idea of, look at every piece of clothing most of us have on. Okay, what I'm wearing right now, what you're wearing right now, somewhere there's a made in China, made in Mexico. It's that sweatshop kind of thing.
Oh, you're working 9 cents. That's why they got them suicide nets.
Right. As long as we're benefiting from it, we can turn that other cheek.
That's the key. Yeah. That's the key.
So, I mean, obviously our country has a, and I guess, and you and I have talked about this too. I guess a lot of this is based on the fact that information is so readily available today, unlike it was in the past.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you and I talked about perception versus reality. I think in the past, the perception was that that America was such a stronghold and America was great and this and that. Maybe a lot of that's just due to the fact that we didn't have the information that was available. With the push of a button or instantaneous information like we have available today.
Right.
I think that's, so I really believe that in a way, as my generation somewhat was kind of snowed, even worse than the people are being done today. Mm-hmm. Where we kind of look back and said, well, America's strong, we're at war with this country, we back America no matter what. And then nowadays, with all the technology that's available, with such an instantaneous information society, you kind of have to understand why, when you look at like the Clintons, the Bushes, those kind of people, with that information that's available to you and me and everybody else out there, you kind of sit back and go, gosh, is this really, is it really what it seems like?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I'm not going back to that, like Americans number one no matter what. And a lot of people, like I said, when you go back to the moon landing, where I said people are just more patriotic.
Right.
And I think as more shit comes out, even though a lot of people sweep under the rug this documented proof of corruption in our government, a lot of people are willing to look at things like in a different light, objectively.
A little more open-minded.
Yes. And they'll be like, okay, instead of saying our government would never do this.
Right. Well, see, you and I have even talked about that. It's not necessarily that we're disbelievers of a particular event or whatever, but, nowadays you kind of go, gosh, because of the information that is available out there, now the beauty is, and I say the beauty, it's kind of a curse in a way, now we can actually go and do our own research on that and don't have to necessarily pay attention to the fake news or whatever's being propaganda, the agenda that's being pushed. You and I can actually go out there and actually do the research on our own without somebody telling us what we should and shouldn't believe.
Yeah, it drives me crazy.
Like
with 9/11.
But is that a great thing or is that a curse? I mean,
I love
you know
it.
what I'm saying? You do.
I like to be informed.
Informed, and I also like to be able to dig a little deeper. Just unearth something that's different that's out there.
But see, like I said before, like I openly admit, like, I'm a conspiracy theorist in a way. Sure. But really, I look at things objectively, and I'm like, that doesn't make any damn sense. I don't come up with my own theories. Like with 9/11, I don't necessarily think the government was behind it, but I do almost 100% believe that
something was sketchy.
That what happened wasn't what they said happened.
Right. Did we have early information on what was going to happen?
Well, yes.
And you look
that was actually been proven.
I mean, and you look at stuff that's
happening a month ahead of time.
Look at everything that's happening out there today, and I've always found it kind of interesting that. And I don't know. There's movies. Every time it seems like it's weird. It's like almost like a movie comes out. And it's this crazy idea of something that happens worldwide or in our country or whatever, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, the actual events actually occur. It's almost like they're just trying to prepare the American public, saying, hey guys, this is about to happen. You know what I'm talking about? Okay? And all of a sudden it does happen, and you're like, man, that's crazy. There was a movie about this 6 months ago. How could they know that? They do know.
Yeah.
I think, and not to say that they know everything, but I think there's more that's actually controlled than you might think.
I agree.
So
like I don't want to get too crazy. Like it's hard to believe that it's that elaborate, but it is. It wouldn't boggle my mind to think that there's a big picture of them just literally pulling the strings and being the puppet master of society as a whole.
Right. And not just in this country. I think it's a worldwide thing. Is a lot of what and I think that's the other misnomer is that a lot of people feel like our country is controlling. I say controlling. They want to believe that they're controlling the minds of our youth today. And let's be honest with you, they're doing a pretty good job.
I was just about to say, have you seen it's kind of like a TED Talk of like ex-Facebook employees, and they openly say, yes, there's a certain amount of dopamine levels that you get, and we strategically make it to where you're self-reliant on
Absolutely.
Facebook.
I mean, think about how many. I mean, it's ultimate, like you say, it's an addiction. I mean, who do you know that? And it doesn't have to be just Facebook. It's any social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Who do you know that? I mean, there are and you know a few, but there's very few people out there that don't go. At least some point during the day, they grab their phone like, "What's happening today?" But at the same time, there's that addictive factor to it. But at the same time, I kind of like the idea of the fact that we can be connected like that instantaneously.
See, I don't really get the dopamine hit from Facebook,
See, I get irritated.
I don't use them for that. If
I
I'm
get
taking
irritated.
a poop, I'm scrolling through videos.
I know, but aren't there times when you do like open your social media and you go, "I'm sick of this crap." I'll give you an example.
Well, I don't use it. Like, I don't try to get likes. I don't try to find
that's
anything.
not what I'm talking
I
about.
just watch entertaining videos. It's basically YouTube.
Well, see, that's kind of what I do too. I scroll through to find the cool content. Okay, but like what irritates me is I'll never forget is like during the elections, everything got so politicized that nobody could seem to separate themselves from it. Even didn't matter what social platform you were on, they couldn't find a way to separate themselves from it. It got to the point where I was like, one day I made a post with it. I said, "Can't we just go back to like hating? If you're an Alabama fan, can't we go back to hating Auburn? Or if you're an Auburn fan, can't we go back to hating Alabama, where everything was good
instead of just division?" And that's what I was talking about when Becca was saying like everyone. He was a really popular president. Talking about George W. Bush, and I was he just got lucky. All that happened, and that was the last time the country legitimately. There wasn't a Democrat or Republicans. We were Americans.
And I think and it's sad to say, and I've said this for a long time, the fact that it takes something like 9/11 to bring the country together. But it's interesting to me that in the last I would say since probably, and I guess it probably all started with Nixon. Okay, but when you get there's a couple after that wasn't so bad. But then you get to Clinton, Obama, the Bushes, Reagan's. When you go back, when you were in school and you were talking about presidents, George Washington, Johnson, Kennedy, Lincoln.
Lyndon Johnson.
Okay.
Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about it, okay.
He's an evil man.
Because you've educated yourself now. But back in the day, it was interesting because it's like the history books wanted to be written. You only remember the good things.
Yeah, that's totally right.
Today, it's not like that at all.
No.
Now, we're focused on the negative instead of the positive when it comes to
We're trying to find our next war, basically.
Yeah. Don't you find that kind of sad, though?
Well, then, what war's profit?
Okay. There's got to be another way.
No.
There's got to be. Why can't we focus on the kind of things that Elon's focusing on? To bring the country together and say, hey, you know what? And again, and you're right about that. When 9/11 hit, I felt like that was the first time, even at that point, in quite some time, where America was united.
Yeah.
And that has to be
on an enemy that
it's got to go down as one of the greatest speeches of all time from a president.
Who?
When he sat up there and he said, after 9/11 hit, and he sat up there and said, it's about American resolve, and we will not falter. We'll fight it. For the first time, everybody stood up. Even to the point where at baseball games, I mean, think about it during that time when it was a big deal to be able to sing the national anthem.
Oh, it was huge.
The entire stadium.
Try to kneel back then.
Right.
Get your ass kicked.
Right there on the spot on national TV. You would have been beat to a bloody pulp.
You would never seen the light.
Right.
Again.
Okay. And now look what we're doing today.
Look at the Dixie Chicks.
Right. It ruined their career.
They just said negative things about George Bush, and their career done.
When's the last time you heard from them?
No.
Over.
Same with Obama.
Over. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
Hank Williams Jr. compared him to Hitler, and they're like, oh, he lost his job.
Somebody was talking about, and it may be because of the sport itself, but somebody was talking a little bit about hockey the other day. We were talking about the fact that I grew up playing hockey, and one of the cool things was we actually played some teams from Canada. And one of the interesting things when it comes to a hockey game is that you actually get to see is they actually play the American national anthem, and then they play the Canadian national anthem behind it, okay? Which is a really cool respect thing in a weird way. But what's interesting is not one time watching hockey, baseball, football, basketball, other than the NFL, where have you seen anybody kneeling?
Well, NBA
The NBA doesn't count.
No, I don't think the NBA did it.
They didn't do it either, though. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know, it's interesting to me that it's kind of zeroed into a specific sport.
Well, it's like with everything. Like when you get back to this, with the kids skipping school, people dissing on Trump, people doing this. It's not for any other reason.
It's becoming accepted.
It's viral. No,
Yeah.
it's just they pushed it as like, okay, this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
I think Eminem did that cipher at the BET Awards just to get to sell records.
Right. Okay. And it did, sadly enough.
Yeah, and it was terrible. His new album was terrible.
I'm gonna give you, and I'm just gonna throw this out there. Okay, it's like this new Jay-Z and Beyonce tour that everybody's talking about. Who cares?
Who, Jay-Z?
Who cares?
I can't stand Jay-Z, but you can't say that in front of Jay-Z's and Beyonce are queen and king. The Illuminati king and queen.
Who cares? Okay? To me, that's who cares. You know.
Oh, you want to know? Okay, you know how Becca doesn't listen to me? You want to talk about conspiracy stuff?
Right.
You know what sucked her in and she found super interesting?
What's that?
MK Ultra mind control. I was like, we watched like 15 minutes of it and I started to change it. And she's like, no. I'm into this.
You cast that line out there and you like got a little bite and you're like,
well, I can't talk about anything.
Drawing it in, baby. You know, before you know it, she'll be on one of these shows with us.
Doubt it, dude.
No,
Maybe.
Make it happen. We'll make it happen eventually.
We got to talk about something she knows, like corgis and hair. My aunt, she loved it, man.
We can talk about hair now.
Hey, she knows how to do some hair.
So we got some hair.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Well, one thing, but and in closing, you know, this is something that I feel like, you know, America's taking a strange turn. You know, like you said, it's a different world that we live in today. It's become socially acceptable to, you know, you and I talked about before, you know, in the old days, if you said something about the president, ultimately you were pretty much put in jail. Interesting about that, okay? There was a threat recently made on the vice president, okay? And the guy winds up in jail.
Pence?
Yeah. So how come somebody doesn't wind up in jail for threatening the president? Okay. And back to the other thing today, okay, about these kids skipping school. Okay. And again, I haven't turned on the news tonight. It's a little early where we are. How is that going to really change anything?
Nothing. Not at all.
It's not. It's just not. And on a local level, I had heard, there were some threats of some kind of activity or something at the high school today here in Chelsea. And from what I understand, and something I read this morning, they said that the traffic was pretty minimal going to the school this morning, which tells you that a lot of people didn't go to school today. You know, was that because there was the idea of a threat, or was that the idea of doing this, everybody's skipping today so I'm staying home?
Or maybe they did the threat to make it look like everyone was doing that to help their movement.
Come on. And as Earl Pitts would say, wake up, America.
Come on, man. Listen here. They're going to get us, man. Look, they ain't going to get over my dead body. They're going to be taking my guns. By God.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, as I said, you know, this is such a crazy world we live in today. Hopefully something's going to change soon. I hope that the youth of this world we live in now will wake up and realize that whining about it's not necessarily the right answer. I'm all about the youth today having a say in our society, but at the same time, be smart about what you're doing. Do you agree with that?
I concur.
I concur.
Limit the amount of Tide Pods you eat. And hell, try the Great Value kind. Those are not too bad.
And they're cheaper.
They are cheaper. I'm a sucker for a deal. Once I bought $200 or $400 worth of meat for $200.
I thought about opening a restaurant where we serve nothing but Tide Pod made food.
Or just food that looks like Tide Pods.
Or it looks like Tide Pods.
Hell yeah. Right. And have vapes out there.
Right.
I know how them kids load them vapes. But hey guys, if you liked what you heard, please go rate and subscribe on iTunes. And give us a nice 5-star review. We're also kind of being more active on YouTube, so go find us on there. Just search Almost Legal Podcast. If you have any requests for content on the show, please email at almostlegalpodcast@gmail.com. We have Twitter. It's at ALP Show 17. Facebook, just search Almost Like a Podcast. Instagram, the whole skip and caboodle. And
Kit and caboodle.
Kit and caboodle. We don't know about that where I come from. But until next week, I will see you.
Where at?
Deuces.